WWE has made a groundbreaking announcement. We're going to talk about it today, plus so much more. It's all coming up right here on the Ango Show. Welcome back to TAS. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big one because WWE is reportedly doing a lot of things for NXT 2300, and Tony D'Angelo is talking about this, and I just found this incredibly fascinating. As you guys know, we have talked about the reason why WWE is doing this. They are going head-to-head with AEW on November 5th. Now Tony D'Angelo was on the Takedown. He was speaking with the Takedown, and he mentioned that a few ECW originals he would like to see, one of them being the FBI faction. He says he's unable to speak on the company's behalf, but he does selfishly want that to happen, obviously because the Tony D'Angelo family and working with the FBI. I think you guys can see the parallels between the two. Now, the full-blooded Italians, we've seen them in ECW. We saw them in WWE. We've seen Nunzio everywhere. I think this would be absolutely really cool, but let's get to the bottom of this. Why is WWE stacking this show? Why do they want ECW originals there? Why do they want an ECW presence at NXT 2300? Guys, let's face it, NXT and AEW are relatively close on the numbers. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense for WWE to stack the show because election week is going to be absolutely insane. That is the reason why WWE moved NXT from Tuesday to Wednesday. It's not like WWE is eager to compete with AEW, but the reality is it would be really foolish for AEW or WWE to compete on election night. It just doesn't make sense for AEW or WWE to be on television that night. Nobody will be watching it. Everybody will be paying attention to the US presidential election. Now, with that being said, because they are going on Wednesday night, they are going to stack the show to try and beat AEW. Is ECW enough to do that? Quite frankly, I don't know. I don't think so, but you never know because right now the numbers are relatively close. Also, it is important to mention that we have seen WWE, NXT, with all these announcements and all these teases and all this hype going into NXT 2300. I do think it is important for us to acknowledge that AEW hasn't necessarily done that. So this week's episode of AEW Dynamite is one to pay attention to because we are going to see how does AEW plan to compete head to head. By the way, just a quick message to everybody wondering, I think it's a good thing for them to go head to head. I feel like Tony Khan was a lot better when he had competition on Wednesday nights. So I think this is going to push NXT and AEW to have a really good episode. Set up 2 TV screens, 2 monitors, watch both at the same time. I don't know. There's something really fun about that. It used to be fun. Let's see how it all pans out. Okay, guys, The Rock. We know that he's in the WWE. We know that he's getting paid a lot by the WWE. We know that The Rock shows up in the WWE. But now we got to talk a little bit more about where The Rock actually stands in the WWE. Right now, Fightful has actually provided an update saying that at least sources within the WWE, they claim that the company is a priority for The Rock, and he is expected in the fold here and there in sporadic fashion. Higher-ups that Fightful spoke to said that The Rock has made it very clear he is part of the family, and he will appear when he's able to. With that being said, the Intuit Dome, the new arena for the Los Angeles Clippers, which, by the way, if you guys haven't seen this thing, it is so damn sexy. Like, one of the nicest basketball arenas, I think, ever. This place costs like $2 billion to make. The scoreboard, the screens, the seats, like, next level technology. Really, really cool stuff. This is where the Clippers play. Basically, the sources from the Intuit Dome are actually hopeful that The Rock will appear at the first episode of WWE Raw on Netflix because that's where the episode is taking place. Basically, here's the thing. Fightful even mentioned that WWE got solid confirmation that The Rock would appear just a few days before Bad Blood. So here's the thing. I'm happy. I'm happy The Rock is back in the WWE. I'm ecstatic that The Rock is going to be part of the WWE. I'm ecstatic that he's going to be part of this Bloodline storyline. I'm glad that we're going to see him at WrestleManias and different events, and I think that is a wonderful thing. That is something very good to get excited about. But But, my question is, what happens to The Rock when the Bloodline storyline ends? Whether that's this year, next year, 2 years, because they might keep this Bloodline thing going forever. But what is The Rock's plan in WWE afterwards? Will The Rock be more of a vocal presence backstage within business decisions? Because don't forget, he is part of the board. Or is The Rock going to do whatever The Rock wants to do? And that might be more on-screen stuff. Because for me personally, I feel like The Rock is only coming back to do the Bloodline stuff. And my impression was that he'd probably retire from in-ring activity. But we cannot forget, whether you like The Rock or hate The Rock is a very famous person. The Rock is also a very big veteran in the wrestling business. He's the one who made it mainstream. He did things that nobody expected. Maybe having him involved in the behind-the-scenes aspect of WWE, maybe a little bit more prominently, could be a really good thing. But will The Rock do it? What's the plan? We don't know. All right, guys, WWE has announced WWE ID. This is WWE's new indie wrestling development program. This is getting mixed reviews. I'm going to tell you guys why I like it. I'm going to tell you guys why I don't like it. But let's just talk about it. WWE, as part of TKO, announced the launch of a first-of-its-kind developmental program designed to provide up-and-coming independent wrestlers a pathway to a potential career in the Fed. The program will be called WWE ID, short for WWE Independent Development. Triple H says it's the latest in our efforts to identify and support the journey of up-and-coming wrestlers, in turn, raising the profile of and strengthening the independent wrestling ecosystem. Now, with that being said, let's get to the bottom of this. There are a couple wrestling promotions already joined up with the WWE in this particular announcement. So, Nox Pro, Elite Pro, Reality of Wrestling from Booker T, Black and Brave from Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes' Nightmare Factory, they are all aligned in this system. Supposedly, people will be able to get a little bit of money from WWE. They're going to get resources from the WWE, training, and whatever it may be from the WWE. I think this is not... I think we need more information on this, to be honest, with the specifics of how the money aspect works. Now, I think this is a good thing. Why do I think this is a good thing? We could go back about a year or two ago, and I specifically talked about AEW. Hey, you have Dustin Rhodes and all of these other wrestlers who have training schools. Why not partner with them and start developing up-and-coming independent wrestlers? So that way you give them a pathway to AEW. And it didn't happen. And the reason why I even proposed that in a video was because of the fact that WWE had NIL going after collegiate athletes. I figured AEW, because they have such a heavy independent wrestling presence, I thought maybe they should do the same. WWE is going after collegiate athletes. They're going after independent athletes. I don't care what anybody says from a business perspective. Nobody can argue with me as to why this is bad for WWE. Because it's not. It's great for WWE. Can you argue why it's bad for professional wrestling? Absolutely. This is WWE. Instead of opening up more performance centers, what are they doing? They're utilizing different independent wrestling schools to help establish the future of the company. And ultimately, that is a massive win for WWE. It is a massive loss for their competition. But we need more specifics. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.